I've been looking for? A knight in shining armor, a protector, someone to remind us that chivalry is not dead. Well, I don't have to look too far. There's a real-life knight living and working right here in St. Louis, and this knight lives by the knightly code, protecting the weak, defenseless, and helpless, and fights for the general welfare of all.
Now, boys, the way you become a knight in this country is a little different than the way you became a knight a long time ago, but it's pretty much the same. The way it goes.
Now, this knight, whose real name is Karl Kindt, didn't arrive here by time travel. He's a modern-day knight living by the ancient oath. And according to him, if you want to become a knight, you must take this oath and swear it to God, an oath which is about 1,000 years old. Since a knight is an armed guard, you must also have a suit of armor made to fit your body. And thirdly, you must be dubbed a knight by those who have the power to do so.
Now in America, we don't have a king or queen like they did in the Middle Ages, but that's because in 1776 the American people took that power away from kings unto themselves, and they are the ones that can dub their own knights. So about 10 years ago I put an article in the newspaper that said, Karl Martin Kindt III, a would-be knight for hire, I have armor, I will travel. And since then I've been dubbed a knight by not only 5 mayors and a lot of children, but I've served about 10,000 people here in this country.
But what does that mean? What service does an ancient knight in modern times offer to people of today? Well, at the beginning, even this knight wasn't so sure.
The first call I got was from a woman who, it's an older woman, and she said, are you the knight? I said, yes. And she said, well, could you come over and help me? My sink is leaking. And I said, well, what would a knight have to do with a sink? She said, well, I don't know. I didn't know what knights did today, which was a good question, you see.
So knowing his calling wasn't to become a plumber, Karl narrowed down his knightly duties to match his armor.
I promote the cause of chivalry.
What is chivalry?
Chivalry, simply defined, means to learn what the right thing is to do and how to go about doing it.
I think just as important as the how he promotes chivalry is the why.
The knights in history and today.
Karl shares his story on his website, knightforhire.com. And while it may seem kind of funny, a grown man dressed in a suit of armor, his reasons behind it are sincere.
When I was a little boy, growing up, I was told by my stepfather and my mother about my natural father, who was killed before I was born in World War II. And a letter was presented to me that he wrote to me. He knew I was on the way. And it was addressed to the new one, since he didn't know if I'd be a boy or girl. And he, in that letter, inspired me to, in a sense, become a knight by saying he wanted me to grow up to be a person of chivalry, that he'd prayed for me that I would come to, serve God.
So 10 years ago, on the 50th anniversary of his father's death, Karl visited the site in Germany where he died. And it was at his father's grave where he became inspired.
I just was inspired, I think, by God to try to think of a way, sort of a humorous maybe way as well, to promote the cause of chivalry, but also to seriously honor those who do defend us and our freedom.
And boy, did he get inspired. So inspired, he had this suit of armor made for a mere $4,763.17. Is that comfortable?
It isn't too bad. It was made to fit my body. So after you get used to the weight, you can move around in it quite well. It's better if you're up on a horse like this.
So now let's get back to the how. How does an ancient knight promote chivalry in today's society? Well, kids are a good place to start. These are Boy Scouts from the Sacred Heart School in Fenton. And tonight, Karl Kindt is teaching them how to do the right thing through storytelling.
And so then he went back home. And he walked down to the ocean, he looked out on those waves, and he said, I wish that watermelon that bounced up and hit me in the head and pushed my face in the mud when I was a little boy would come back now.
There are things that are right and there are things that are wrong, and that there is a way to know, what's right and wrong, and that they can be empowered to do the right things in their lives, and that's the best way to go.
Year after year, he stood there on the beach looking for the watermelon. The children would come up.
Do other people take what you do very seriously as well, or do they just think of it as a joke?
Most children do, and some adults. The mayors of 5 cities did, including the mayor of the city of St. Louis. So I tend to think that being serious about chivalry, but in a humorous way, a lot of people believe in that, and that's what I try to emphasize.
Remember, he has armor and will travel, and his lessons of chivalry aren't just for kids. You're never too old to learn how to do the right thing.